Welcome to Part 2 of migrating EAD from the Archivists Toolkit to CONTENTdm. I would like to take this opportunity to describe a little bit about the relationship between the EAD record and the Dublin Core record within CONTENTdm. On the left in the diagram here, we have a box representing the full-text EAD record. This record is full of XML fields that were created when the finding aid was established out of the Archivists Toolkit. On the right-hand side, we have the Dublin Core record. This record is a record in CONTENTdm that's established that describes the full-text EAD record. As you recall, during the mapping process of the EAD record into CONTENTdm, we had to go through the mapping table with the chart that we provided for you. Unfortunately, not every single field in the EAD record was available for mapping over to the Dublin Core record to describe it. Things like subject fields, which we find are very important, were missing from the mapping table. That requires us to go into the Dublin Core record and manually enter some data that we feel should have automatically been moved in. In addition, we've created fields in the Dublin Core record that enhance the EAD record even more so, things like time period. So we just wanted to kind of take a moment to describe how this relationship works and why we have to enter extra information in the Dublin Core record within the project client. Once the finding aid gets imported into the project client, we do need to add some additional metadata content to the Dublin Core record. The first thing you need to do when you open the record is make sure that all the fields that you chose in the mapping process mapped appropriately, that the publisher goes to publisher, title to title, etc. In this case, the additional information we need to add to the record would be for time period. In order to assist the user interface for CONTENTdm Digital Library, we have assigned time periods to all of the objects entered. In this case, because the finding aid inclusive date is 1892 to 1910, theoretically the time periods would be 1890 to 1889 and then 1900 to 1909. Now, we did make it a choice early on that we would not break the 1800s out by decade. We just didn't think we had enough content in the 1800s. So we did agree to just enter 1800s as a century. But we will enter the decade for 1910, 1909, and we do it in a 10-year span, so it would be 1900 to 1909. And because 1910 is included here, as well, it would be 1910 to 1919. Then as far as the general subject, because this is a church manuscript and photo album collection, we are going to enter church records as a general subject heading. We also have some additional rules, and it will take some time if you're new at this to know exactly what we expect to be selected for general subject and specific for certain things. We are going to be creating a handout to offer some guidelines to help you through this process. When you're new at it, somebody else will approve the finding aid before it gets uploaded to the digital library. So in this case, like I said, church records would be appropriate because it is a photo album for a church. And let's see. For the specific subject, in this case, the photo album did include some tin types, so we are going to pick tin types as a subject heading. So you really kind of have to do some reading and familiarize yourself with the scope and notes for the collection. The other thing, some rules: if it's a DePauw finding aid, we would expect you to put manuscripts of alumni and their class in there, as well as an alumni specific subject heading and so on. Again, there'll be a supplemental handout to assist you with selection of some of these subject headings. In this case, there would be no personal name is needed, and the rest of this has been mapped over as appropriate. So now we're finished with enhancing the Dublin core. We can save this record and close, and it would be ready for approval to be uploaded to the CONTENTdm server. I hope you have found this information useful in learning how to export information out of the Archivists Toolkit in order to import those into the CONTENTdm project client. Once you have the permission to upload and approve the item, then this task would be completed. The final step would be to open the digital library and preview the finding aid just to make sure everything looks accurate. Look for future videos on how to customize the thumbnail for the finding aid. That will be coming soon. Thank you.